What is going on, my salty home gymmers? Welcome back to the channel, and today I bring you yet another lever arm, plate loaded leg extension leg curl. This one coming hot off the heels of my last video, in which this particular machine from the Hip Lion drew many questions. So ask and you shall receive sometimes. But we're gonna go over the advantages over its competition, and we're gonna go over a few drawbacks here and there. And last but not least, you might not know it yet, but you're looking at the new and improved Lionscool leg extension leg curl machine. And I got some insider information about some improvements that have been made to this machine that bring it closer and closer to its competition. So this machine might be worth a second look. Now the first thing I'm gonna go over is the assembly, which wasn't exactly easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it wasn't exactly difficult either. First thing I'd like to point out is this machine kind of had a lot more parts than I was expecting. And one thing that was really strange to me was a lot of them were filled with tiny little metal shavings. This is actually the first time I ever had to empty out metal shavings back into the box so it didn't sound like a rainforest when I was trying to work out on this machine. I had a feeling this was going to happen just because of all the reviews I had seen and stuff, but I did unfortunately have to beat certain parts into place. But with a little bit of elbow grease, I did complete this machine without any major hangups. And now to everyone's favorite part of my videos, the specs and measurements. So at its tallest, this machine is 41 inches, and at its widest, including the plate horn, it's about 45 inches, and 56 inches the other way, which isn't quite as small as its competition, but this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and we'll get into that later. Also, strangely, on the Amazon listing, this machine is listed as 14 pounds. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm quite certain that it's not 14 pounds. Maybe this was meant to say 14 gauge steel, I don't know. Now let's get a little functional. Now the first obvious function of this machine is its leg extension. And yeah, it's not a bad leg extension. Fully adjustable, it dials back nicely. Also, one little tip or trick, if this leg extension doesn't dial back enough, you can actually take this part off and flip it around. It'll allow you to get a much deeper stretch if that's what you're into. Now I'm gonna show you how this folds back into a leg curl, which took me by surprise at first because a lot of these machines just kind of recline back in one motion, but this one has this little lever here. And the best way I can describe it is the machine kind of does like a little hip thrust into a prone position. Here, let me show you. It's strange, but when you're laying prone, it doesn't feel half bad. Now, if you missed my other video, this is why these kinds of machines are changing the game. Because this machine has added this lever arm. What does this lever arm do, you might ask? These plate-loaded home gym leg extension, leg curl machines have been all the rage for like the last 4 or 5 years with the rise of things like drop shipping and Amazon brands. But the main issue with those machines is they operate on a pendulum, which takes resistance away from the top of the rep or the bottom of the rep, depending on what exercise you're doing. And the reason this cable lever arm component is awesome is because no longer does my weight operate on a pendulum. Instead, it operates on a lever, which always goes up and down, which eliminates that resistance drop off. And I have solid resistance all the way through the rep. Now, one more thing I'll mention here. I can tell you with this machine, you're gonna feel a little more weight resistance on this one. This one operates more on a 1-to-1 ratio. Now let's talk a little bit about materials. The first thing I'm gonna talk about is the powder coating. The powder coating it's okay. I saw a few people online say they had chips and stuff in their powder coat when they received it. I got a little bit of that, but nothing crazy. And let's not forget that powder coating doesn't take away from the functionality of a machine. Also, the weld on the component that adjusts my leg pad and attaches to the cable. Strange welds here. I won't say these welds are questionable territory, but I'll just say they're a little strange. I'm no welder, but I see on a lot of these machines lately, these 1-2 skip a few type of weld. Obviously, this is for production purposes. I just don't think I would have used it here on a main component. But like I said, I'm not a welder. Is there any welders out there? Let me know in the comments. Lionscool has assured me they've made multiple improvements to this machine, and I can see that. Just for time's sake of the video, I'm gonna pick which ones I think you should know about the most, and the rest of them I'm just gonna list in the comments, and you can go in there and check them out yourself. The number one complaint that I heard about this machine in reviews and comments on my other videos is this cable mechanism not being very strong. You'll be happy to know that this is now all reinforced, including a thicker cable, and the biggest and most necessary improvement I think Lionscool has made is where the cable attaches to the lever arm. It no longer looks like that, it looks like this. Now let me tell you about this machine's best qualities that really blew me away, and the first thing being these pads. It is so refreshing seeing a set of pads on something that's labeled budget or home gym that have some nice beefy thickness. And not just the butt pad or the back pad. If you had fears of the leg pad breaking down over time with a lot of weight and your shins digging into it, as a lot of these machines tend to wear down there over time, you can put those fears to bed. This leg pad's the real deal. And not only are these pads full of beef, but they're nice, stiff, woven tight, and get this, they're adjustable. Which, to be honest with you, should be the standard for all these machines that are coming out. Because one size never fits all. I'm gonna be quite honest with you, this entire machine's full of beef. What I mean by that, if you're not speaking my jive, I think there's only about 3 brands in this category that I know of. This machine has the most solid base of any of these type of machines that I put my hands on. Kinda seems like the main problem with this machine was this cable component. And it seems like they have that fixed. Now there's definitely room for improvement on this machine, and we went over all that. So I guess the major question is, will this component stand the abuse that it wasn't withstanding before? And it seems like they've made a giant effort here, and only time will tell. I can promise you, we're gonna revisit these machines, especially this one. So stick around, make sure you subscribe, and we'll bring it back around.